Music on the Run.
This is Music on the Run, and he's running.
And I'm running.
Yeah.
And, pay attention, take notes, and do all these things, and you'll find that life will be better for you.
Stevie Guitar Miller, next on Music on the Run.
Toodaloo.
Hey everybody, welcome to Music on the Run. I'm your host, St. Paul Peterson. And on this podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about music. But mostly we're going to talk about health and how you stay healthy on the road. And I figured, why not start out with a bang? Our first guest has sold over 60 million records, tucked into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, been recording and touring for 50 years.
It will be 76 in October.
I wasn't going to say that, but you will.
Yeah.
Some people call him the Space Cowboy. Some people call him the Gangster Love. Some people call him Maurice, but I call him my buddy. I've known him for 30 years. I used to be in his band too.
That's
so
right. A Steve Miller Band member.
That's right. Welcome,
Yeah.
Stevie Guitar Miller, everybody.
Hi, Paulie. Nice to see you.
Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Well, yeah, man, of course.
This is so much fun. So we're going to talk a little bit about, our old stories and things like that. But what I'm really interested in how you stay healthy on the road. I mean, you've been on the road for, like I said, 50 years. And how do you keep your body in shape to be able to do what you do outside? Right there. That's the stage right out there, by the way.
Well, there's a bunch of things. Like I stopped drinking and smoking cigarettes when I was like 32 years old.
You totally stopped drinking.
Yeah, I just went, no more, And I realized that, from 23 to 33, it was a party.
I remember that.
Yeah,
that was the same for me in your band. I barely remember that.
Well, so it was like a lot of fun, and then you just sort of realize that, you're in it for the long run. Mm-hmm. You want to be as good as you can be. Yeah. If you're serious about your music, then that's what you're serious about, and so that straightens everything up really quickly. Just no drugs, no drinking, no partying, no, fooling around in between shows and stuff. It's like you're out there to do 2 hours of music every night. And so, like I always say, I'm being paid to travel. Exactly. And I play for free,
Right.
And, so it's 22 hours a day of hotel rooms and junk and stuff and for the 2 hours on stage. And sound check's good too. I like that.
Yeah. Well, now we're sitting in your tour bus, and ever since I was in the band, you've always had a home away from home. Is that something you try to do with this?
I have always owned my own bus. As soon as I could afford it, I designed and built a bus that was kind of different. Like this one's got 2 desks forward, so Janice and I can both sit while we're riding, and we can work in. And this is the dressing room. This is much healthier than the dressing room that they set up here in the rented tent? Trailer or whatever it is, or wherever it is, So everything's clean. Yeah. You detox your hotel room when you check into your hotel room.
You do?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I have a whole bunch of, like Clorox wipes and stuff.
So you literally go through.
Makes a huge difference, man. Who was in the room before you?
I don't know, but what about the mattress covers or the covers?
Yeah,
and the
you
sheets
look to see if there's bed bugs and stuff like that. All of these things you learn to do, and they're just part of traveling on the road, staying healthy and keeping it together. This is all, probably more stuff than you want to know.
No, this is exactly what I want to know, because this, hopefully, who's going to listen to this are the people who are up-and-coming musicians, people who want to stay healthy. Could be businessmen who are on the road or whatever.
Sure, So the deal is, of course, work out with a trainer, because I'm too lazy. I won't do it myself. Left on my own.
Left to your own devices.
My own devices. I think I'm the athlete I was when I was 17, and I know how to work out.
Don't tell me. I'm motivated to not do that.
Janice got me a trainer several years ago for Christmas. Said, I've got you 3 months of a trainer. And I don't want that's nuts. And it just brings it back. You need to work out every day. So today I got up and, I went down to the hotel gym and snuck in there and did a bunch of yoga and did some light weights and did some treadmill stuff and some stretches and, just got loosened up and got my heart rate going and did all that kind of stuff. That's all real important. You have to do that all the time. When you're really young, you don't, but as you age, as you get older, you need to work, We carry a kitchen bag, and our kitchen bag's full of fruit. It has our own coffee maker and coffee and some bread and some peanut butter and some things like that. So we totally skip hotel breakfasts. We don't do that. We don't have, French fries and toast and bacon and eggs and pancakes, because we can. No,
come on.
No, we don't. So everything is like that, like good eating habits. Try to stay, and it's hard, when you're on the road.
Isn't there pizza every night? I mean, how do you physically make that choice?
We don't do that. We don't have pizza delivered or any of that kind of stuff. And we on our rider we request certain kinds of food like salmon and beef and chicken, but it's salmon, beef, and chicken and beef and salmon. So, I usually go get a big salad or something like that. So try and watch all that stuff, all the junk, And then every day we do vocal warm-ups. Now when we come to
we're talking about your chops and
now we're talking about chops
fitness,
and music and stuff. So I've been playing guitar now for an hour before you showed up.
Yeah, I saw that you were serenading me as I walked in.
Playing some stuff and just getting my hands warmed up and everything. And the band, as you know, because you were a band member, I don't know, for 30 years now we've done this long 20-minute vocalese.
Are you still doing it?
Every gig, same one.
No way.
And Paul, I mean, it like gives you like 2 higher notes on your high range and 2 lower notes on your low range.
Say all mine.
Yeah, all of that.
Say all mine. I remember it very well.
Absolutely.
I used to dread that because I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, no.
But then I was young and dumb.
Yeah, nobody wants to do that, but the difference when you do that and you don't do it, like if you don't do it for a week, and you listen to a recording of yourself, and the other thing. But, I mean, I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff that I do as a guitar player, very quickly. But the other thing is you need to have somebody put the cell phone on a tripod out by the mixing board, and you need to record your show, and you need to look at it.
For what purpose?
Well, it's amazing.
In your world.
It's amazing. Like, if I don't look at it, I'm going along, everything's fine, and use some examples. Maybe I think I'm funny. And now I'm like 2 weeks into thinking I'm funny, and I haven't checked out my funny, and I'm doing a lot of talking on the stage, and the trouble with you people.
Right.
But and that's the worst case example. You look at that and just go, geez, I really need to shut up and stop.
So you at this point still edit yourself?
Yeah, Les Paul videotaped every show he ever did and always went back and looked at it, made the trio look at it on the way into the gig, that kind of stuff.
I bet you they were like,
Well, I find that, like, I'll watch the show.
Yep.
And I can speed watch it and go to areas I want to check and stuff. I don't have to like sit there for the full 2 hours and watch all 2 hours of it. Sometimes I do,
Yep.
And I'll find 3 little things, 4 little things, and I will go out to sound check and, I'll say to Jake, my rhythm guitar player, like, Jake, listen, you need to start taking that guitar off, and Chris, you need to bring his guitar out to him 5 seconds sooner, okay? Gordy, when I do this, you do that. Kenny, that's great. Keep doing that, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it could be 3 little things like that.
Yeah.
And the next night you go out, and the show is like 50% better, man. I mean, just to, it gets down to like the hair on the fin, and when you get it really dialed in and you pay attention to that, the timing, 3 seconds here, 4 seconds there,
makes it a show, doesn't it?
It makes all the difference in the world, and into how, once you get the house, you've got the house, they're with you, you got this thing going, you don't want to like stop it for like a minute and 12 seconds while the guitar tech's finishing tuning your guitar
Right.
and bringing it out, or what. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of things like that can really make a difference, or just the way you take a solo, when you take it, how you start it,
Right.
where you go, where you're standing on the stage. All these things can be improved all the time, and if you take a little time and look at it, it's great. And then if you document it when you get off the stage,
Yeah.
like I have a set list, printed set list of tonight's set list, and it's got today's date and where we are.
All right.
And when I walk off, I'll sit down and go, that was the best version of Living in the USA I think
Yeah.
I've ever done in my life. That's 5 stars, and here's why. And boy,
You still critique
we
these
jot-
things like this.
Well, yeah, and so these notes. So when you want to like get live stuff, you want to put a live thing together. You want to put something out. You want to. You don't go. You remember when we were? I think it was Oklahoma or Texas. Like that doesn't work. Then, so if you just, it takes 10 minutes at the end of the set.
If you do it every night.
Yeah.
Right.
And it doesn't even take 10 minutes. It takes 5 minutes. And you just go, oh, yeah, that was great. Oh, that solo was really good. Geez, Joseph was killing it. That was really the best, whatever.
Right.
And you put notes, and then you just take it all and you put it in a notebook. And at the end of the year, you put the notebook together and you go back and say, I wonder what the hell we did in 2019
Yeah.
and when we were in Minnesota.
And you could put a whole new set together, or
Yeah,
pick
and
choose
you
or whatever.
can listen, and you can take parts and pieces, and you can now be we release a lot of live material, so
Yeah.
that's really helpful. So
Yeah.
that's all. These are little important things. So record the
That's
set.
show fitness.
Look
is
at
what
it.
that is.
Absolutely,
Because
that's-
you're going, where can I make improvements? It's like you're in training. You're a competitive son of a gun, aren't you?
Well, I don't know whether it's competitive or just wanting to really do the best I can.
But
Well,
it's so funny. You're a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. You don't have nothing left to prove, but except to yourself, right?
I don't even think about that stuff. I mean, I really don't. That
I
hasn't,
bet you don't. Because
I
I
mean,
know
it
you.
hasn't. It hasn't changed anything of the way.
Sure.
But basically, me, man. Like I'm here for the playing. I
know you
I
are.
want it to be really good.
But that's
and,
so fun for these
and-
listeners to hear that stuff.
And
though.
we're here because we like to play, not because we are making money and entertaining the folks or something.
Right.
We want to entertain the folks, and sure, we want to make dough to pay for all this stuff we got to
Of
put
course.
together to do it. But we're really here because we really love to play, and I'll finish a 70 city tour. I do one every year. I do about 70 cities a year every year.
Right.
And that's a lot.
Yeah, it
and
is.
when I get back, and sometimes I'm just like, oh, boy, I'm so, man, I don't know. And, within 3 weeks, I'm kind of like, you're getting kind of
Itchy?
antsy,
Yeah.
and I'll start doing stuff in town, and then, it's 3 months later, and I can't wait to get the hell out of town and hit the road.
Do you think about quitting at the end of every year or not really?
No. I never think about quitting. The only thing that happens to me is sometimes I'm so tired at the end of
Yeah.
a long run, like, I always fight with Scotty, my manager.
Hooray, yeah.
And he's out there with us. He's doing the sound too,
Oh,
so
yeah.
he suffers with. If we suffer, he suffers. Yeah. And I'm always saying to him, like, Scott, let's end the tour at a really great place. Let's don't go 200 miles out in the desert to Laughlin.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, and end up at a rough casino in the desert in Vegas, and then
Right.
have to drive from there to get
Oh.
home.
Right.
Little things that you can do to make it more fun. Have fun on your last gig. Do that
Right.
kind of stuff. Sometimes I get home from the tour and it's just like the next day is just the next day. And sometimes I'm really tired. It depends on how much we grind. We have spaced our gigs out more. It costs us a lot more money to do that. But we used to average about 4 shows a week or
Right.
something like that.
Is that hard on your chops?
It's not that it
Vocally?
was so hard on my chops. It's more just hard on my psyche.
Is it?
Just running and packing and another show. You want to feel kind of fresh and
Yep.
and like you want to go play. You don't want to feel like, man, how many of these have we done in a row?
I want to
You
go
never wanna
home.
feel
I want to
that.
be done. So
Yeah.
does that help that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and it makes everybody feel a lot better. You just take a day off, but when you take a day off, it's like you're an army, and we got, in our case, it's like 27 guys
Well,
who are
right. But
we're
you're
all
also-
sleeping somewhere and eating somewhere and
So that
traveling
costs
somewhere.
money, but you're preserving
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
team.
Yeah,
is what you're
exactly,
doing.
and it gives us a little more space, and so I started doing that, and it's helped a lot.
Yeah.
It's made a big difference, and guitar players, you
Yeah.
know, like what I'm amazed at is that people in rock and roll bands don't really warm up a lot and don't really think of themselves as athletes. But
Well,
you know,
what do you do?
well, you know about this.
No,
you know.
I don't. So let's talk about gadgets real
All right,
quick.
well,
So
I have
what do
a
you
box full of gadgets.
Okay.
For this is
These look
just
painful, by the way.
this is just guitar work.
Okay.
Right? So this is therapy putty, and you get it like at a hospital pharmacy.
Okay.
They make it in like 7 or 8 different colors and different strengths. I mean, some of it's just like goo. It's for people who've damaged their hands.
Okay.
And you know they can't move their hand at all, and you know some guy just needs to do that for 4 weeks to
Sure.
get his finger back or something like that. Well, this is kind of, it's not the real tough stuff. It's kind of like the groovy middle range, and you take it and you keep it in a bag.
Okay.
You have to keep it in a bag. If you just
Otherwise
left it
it'll
on the
dry
table
out,
like
yeah.
this, no, it won't dry out. It'll flatten out. It'll fall over the edge,
Oh
and
no!
it'll get down in the carpet.
Have we done this before?
And you'll never get out. You always have to put this away. This is
Okay.
like the alien. So, you know, for guitar players, you know, this is a great thing to do. So I'm just
Okay.
rolling. It's like I'm rolling dough here, right?
Yep.
Okay, so there you go. And then I'll take it and I'll twist it so it's kind of lumpy, like so, like a rope.
Right.
And I'll roll it like that.
So
right?
what are you working?
So this is stretching all of this, the palm of my hand, you know, all this stuff is getting loosened up, warmed up, and stretched. And then you take it and you make a donut, and this is really one of the great ones. Like, then you stretch
So that's
against,
here,
yeah,
right?
and you're stretching in a way you normally don't stretch. So you're stretching the opposite way you play. Now, for me, I've been playing guitar for 70 years. It'll be 70 years in October that I've been playing
your
guitar.
pops gave you your first
Yeah,
guitar,
I
right?
got my first guitar when I was 6, so that'll
Yeah.
be 76 in October. So
Jeez.
that's that. And I have 3 areas that bug me.
Okay.
This joint right here kind
Uh-huh.
of is stiff. This joint right here is stiff, and this thumb down here.
Arthritic or just stiff?
You know, it's use and just it's been worn so hard. I mean, you know, when you're a guitar
Well,
player,
yeah.
you're always doing this kind
Yeah,
of
of
stuff,
course,
you know.
yeah.
And so that's a kind of an odd position. And so when this first started going off was about 20 years ago, 25 years ago or something. That's when I got this. Made it go
Who
away.
recommended that to you?
I went to the Mayo Clinic. And I saw
right
it-
down the street.
Yeah, in
Okay.
Rochester, and I went to the hand specialist. I went
You
there
must
for,
have been really worried about it,
for
obviously.
years. Well, I go. What I do? No, I mean I go to the Mayo once a year for a full physical.
Okay. Smart.
And I have all the blood work and all
Yep.
the stuff and everything done. It's just common sense, you know.
Yep.
And I like that place. I think it's the best in the
Me too.
in the world, you know. So I've been going there forever.
Yeah.
Hi to everybody at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester if you're watching this.
I love the Mayo. I go there too.
And I went, to see the hand guy, and he was going, there's nothing wrong with your hands, you know. And he was looking at him, and I realized, like, this guy has no idea what I'm doing. And so I said, look, you know surgeons, right? And I said, well, I'm like a surgeon. My hands have to be really loose and fast, and they have to be good. And I've got this problem. And he said, well, all right, try some therapy putty. And so I got the therapy putty, and I started trying it.
Yep.
And it just
I got to try it.
it makes your hands feel so healthy. Just put your hand in there and just open it up.
Yeah, that's a different muscle for sure.
Yeah, and
And what do you do? I'm going to screw it up now. How do you get this double circle like this? Oh, I'm going to screw it all up here.
see, this is what I'm talking about. You have to pay attention. It's like, this is probably too technical for you.
I'm a bass player. Leave me
Yeah,
alone.
you're a
Oh,
bass
or
player.
guitar player,
There
whatever you
go.
want.
No, you roll it out like dough.
All right.
Remember
We're
that.
pay attention now, people.
See, you roll it out like dough. And it's really good if you stand up and do this because you can put more pressure, if you stand over the
And when
table.
you're doing that, you're still stretching this out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is like, I'm really, go ahead, roll it.
I see why you would want to stand
Does
up.
that feel
for sure.
good?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it feels great. Now take it and twist it. like a little rope. No, just no.
Oh, like this?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I screwed it up, didn't I?
Yeah,
Let's
but
do it
you
again.
can take. There you go. That's good. Now take it and just twist it. You want it kind of lumpy so it works better.
Okay. Twisting.
Yeah. Well,
You do it.
Here.
You know the trouble with you people.
This is the trouble with you people, you musician people.
Hey, I tell you, you've been doing it for 20 years. I've been doing it for 5 minutes.
So there it is, right? It's nice
Beautiful.
and smooth. You take it like this,
Okay.
like that, and you go, and there it is.
So that
it's
is
all
also-
real easy. It's like playing blues. If you're working too hard, you're doing it wrong.
Got it.
You know, I mean, really and truly, it
Okay.
is like that. So so you roll it out like that, and then you do the donut, put it around your hand. Now
So
the second one,
Yeah, show
the
me.
other one, the last one I do with this is I make a ball like that, and I just do that, and it feels so.
Can you see
good.
that on that camera still? Okay, good.
You know, it's like you just press down, and it just stretches the palm of your hand out. Go ahead, try it.
Let me try that, yeah. I'm standing up for this as well. I'm following my leader.
You're blocking
All right.
it. That's
Oh,
all
I'm
right. So
I've got another
anyway,
one over
you
here.
can try it over there. Yeah.
So for the
anyway,
people who are listening and not watching this, we're literally playing with almost clay.
Therapy putty.
Therapy putty.
Yeah. It's therapy putty. It really enjoys.
So go to the website and check out the video because it's going to help this out a lot. Oh,
I just lost that.
did you lose your mic? Okay.
Just put it right back there.
There,
That looks
perfecto.
pretty good. So,
What other gadgets do you have that help?
I got a bunch of gadgets now. You remember the Dynabee, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So the Dynabee, everybody knows, and I don't have my string right now, but you pull this out, and then it's gives you some G's to work against, and it's really great for your wrist, and has a gyroscope inside it.
Sure. And I can
So
tell
that's
you,
a great one.
when I was in the band with you, I had an ulnar nerve problem in my left arm.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Let me.
Oh, here we go. Why you have to? Oh, he's going to put the crusher on my arm.
This is the dishwasher. This is like the laundry thing.
Remember that?
And,
Whoa!
And it feels so good.
It
And
looks
then you
like
can
an old washing machine that
dryer,
brings out the
a ringer.
Yeah, the ringer. Yeah. Called a Rolio, therapeutic arm
Yeah.
massager.
So try that.
God, wait, I'm putting it on the one that actually was bad back
A
in the day.
rewatch. Yeah.
Okay. Oh man. Hey, puppy.
Hi,
What's up?
Lou.
Oh, that's no joke.
Yeah, it's good.
That's like a foam roller for your arm.
Yeah,
is what it
that's
is.
it. Yeah,
but
it's
it has.
self-roller. Yeah, it's better than trying to do
Wow.
that. Right. Then of course there's these kinds of things. These are these little grip enhancers.
Yeah, grippers, sure.
Yeah, and
That
this
looks
thing is really great. This is another roller kind of thing you can take and roll.
All right, we got a little. It's got four little balls that look
Yeah.
like.
Uh-huh.
What do they call those? Brass knuckles.
Yeah, plastic marbles. And then there's this business, the rubber ball and that feels great.
What are you on the hand only? Huh?
Oh no, you can
Anywhere,
No,
right?
this is all over. This is a great massager.
I thought for sure you were gonna smack me upside the head.
No,
with
I
it.
wasn't gonna. This is a.
Come on, you've been waiting for years.
This is a wrist strengthener,
Look at all these gadgets. Okay, so this is
and
it's literally a ball on the end of a metal.
it's like a spatula with a rubber ball.
Yes, and you just massage
Yeah,
wherever.
and those are
whatever's
really great.
hurting.
This can be tightened up and made real hard to twist, and you twist like this.
Now,
and
what's
like that.
overdoing it for you? Do you know where that line is, right?
Yeah, I don't do too much. I don't want to get bulked up with this stuff. What I
Right.
want to do is I want to get loosened up and warmed up. And this is my latest one. This one's really goofy.
These are like handlebars, the ones that he just showed me here. They're like handlebars you can tighten, and it helps strengthen your wrist, I would guess, yeah.
So there are a lot of people who think about this stuff, a lot more than probably you or I. And I saw this, and what I do is whenever I see something that's
Too
for
good to be true?
hands,
Oh,
or
yeah?
something, check this baby out.
No way. So it's a ball with
Yeah.
little rubber things
So-
for your fingers that.
So this is
Stretch out.
a finger strengthener, and yeah, I've got my my grip over there that I do, and all of these things make your hands healthier. So if you're going to go out and play for 2 hours, you ought to
Yeah.
warm up a little bit. You wouldn't go run a 100-yard dash and go, hey, I ran
Right.
one last night. I'm fine.
Have you ever cramped up on stage?
No, I
Really?
about the only thing I ever had was I got a big sort of electrical shock one time in the palm of my hand. I was playing and I did something and I wasn't quite warmed up and I got this zzz, thinking, woo.
So you've never had that problem with your arms going with your fingers?
No,
Good, well, then-
where I and I mean I've had I've finished gigs. Now there's the final thing to all of this, and this is all serious. This is really good for you. This thing is great for you. Anything where you're exercising your fingers and doing stuff like
Yeah.
is good. But what's the most important thing, the really hippest thing of all,
Is?
the icing. So
Hold your mic. Take your mic with you.
Yep, I'll take my mic. Sorry. So I have.
Oh, he's getting
excuse
his
me,
ice.
Lou.
You can't see what he's doing right now, but he's going to his freezer.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you these things that I have.
Oh, he's got ice packs for days.
Yeah, ice packs for days.
All right.
And so when I come off the stage,
Okay.
I get these guys.
Oh my God, they're gloves. They're
Yeah,
ice
and
gloves.
it's got a little liner. You put the liner in. And I take my hands and I put them in here. And I take this. Oh, okay.
Thank you, James.
Sorry about that.
See?
Yeah. So
What are you, married?
So I have two of them, and I have a shoulder one that goes over my shoulder. All the
For the,
places
you
to get.
still, do you get the occupational hazard?
Sure. Yeah. So all of this, and then the hippest thing is where Janice is where the buddy seat is in the bus. That's a massage chair.
Oh no.
And it's got these little arm things that you slip your hands under the arm things and
Yeah.
it squeezes.
Yeah, sure.
So
it's
I
compression.
spend 15 minutes with all this stuff on, doing the massage chair and getting my hands squeezed, and then I'm done. I pull them out.
But these are
your
not
hand in there.
high buck items at all. I mean, these are things that any one of us up and coming musicians can do. This doesn't cost $1 billion. This is
It's Elastogel. You go online and you got it.
Elastogel, treating the world well.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is a great big
Oh,
one
that's
that
nice.
goes around both shoulders and wraps around here and feels good, huh?
I like that. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's cool.
It is cool. It's cold, actually.
It is. Yeah, it really is.
But it's really makes a huge
So you have
difference.
a regiment that you
So,
do
yeah.
that keeps you in shape.
So anybody, if you're 15 years old and you're a guitar wizard and you shred like Satriani and
Yeah.
you're a monster,
Right.
you should have a pair of these and you should start doing it. And the sooner you do it, the longer it lasts,
Right.
and the better off you are.
Huh.
And that's the regime. That's working out with a trainer, physically doing aerobics and,
Right.
and light weights. For me, because of my age, I'm not 30 now, so I'm not in there bench pressing 180 pounds or any of that stuff like we used to do.
Well, I remember.
We used to carry a Pilates machine, and we had a gym, and
You carried a treadmill. I remember that one.
Yeah.
One of the viewers.
I have a treadmill on the bus. It's right back there.
You still have.
Yeah.
He sure does. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you do your yayas on the bus still?
Yeah.
Do you have
we
everybody come in here to do that?
Yeah, and the
That's
reason
great.
we do the reason we do that is because it brings all the musicians out. It gets them out of their shtick,
Yeah.
whatever's going on in the dressing room, whatever mom and dad, their cousins, their girl, whatever it is. They have to come here,
Okay.
and they stand in here, and we sing vocalese for
Yep.
20 minutes, and I play the vocalese while I'm singing it. And what it does is it gets everybody focused, and it makes everybody breathe together. So before we hit the stage, we've been going, say Ale mine, and doing the scales up and down for
course.
20 minutes is
Right.
what it takes. And breathing and hitting it and talking about vocalese and hitting the spots, and we're hitting the harmonies and we're doing the stuff. And so by the time we're on the stage, we just sang together for 20 minutes doing deep breathing exercises.
So it's beyond the warm up, though, isn't it? I got a feeling that there's more to it than just the warm up. It's the hang and the
Well,
focusing?
yeah, it's in our case, it's the hang and the breathing together.
Okay.
And the quietness, I mean, we're here. So 20 minutes before we hit the stage, it's not like 3 minutes when you go,
Hurry
okay,
up.
I'll be
Yeah.
right back, baby.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
okay.
So that's the time you designate that say, hey,
Yeah.
this is our
Everybody
time
comes
together.
over and we have our, in-ear monitors here. So we all put our in-ear monitors
Got it.
on. We're all squared away and we're all tuned up. And then we hit that last note and we hit sing a couple of choruses of Rockin' Me or whatever it is, just to make sure our blend is good. And
Right.
Raz comes and says it's showtime, and we walk right from the bus to the stage, plug in, and go.
Before I forget now, when I was in the band, you were the first guy to get into in-ear monitors.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't the very first guy.
Darn
Stevie
close, though, right?
Wonder had one in-ear monitor made, and he worked with this guy in the mid 80s, and then I think he stopped, and I heard about it, and when I started playing and Ricky was with us, and,
Yeah.
and
Billy, these are my brothers, by the way.
in 89 we
88,
came back,
89, yeah.
and I hadn't been playing for like 6-7 years.
Yeah, you took a little time off.
And the monitors were the size of a refrigerator. They really were. It was the end of the 80s.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. The monitors were like 6 feet long and 4 feet high and 5 feet deep. And there'd be a 22-year-old kid doing it. And it was so loud. The first 3 gigs I did, I just kept going to my monitor guy saying, you got to turn this down.
Was it Blake back
You
in
have to
those
stop.
days?
No, it was Blake was brought in after
Okay.
that.
All right.
And we just had, sound crew kids,
Got it.
And we said, listen, you can't do that. And while we were at Prince's place,
Sure.
we built the first all band in-ear monitor system and
Right.
tested it there.
I remember.
And we had the audiologist come out, and it was amazing. I had everybody's hearing tested, and at that time there were like 55 people. It was a much bigger show, and we had extra bands and trucks and more stuff. And I had everybody's hearing tested, in a booth, and brought the booth out to Prince's place, and we tested everybody's hearing. And at the end of the day, Rick Fisher, who was
I
mixing
remember Rick, yeah.
in the house, had the best ears in the whole group of 55 people. I think Blake, it may have been Blake, I'm not sure who my sound monitor at the time was. He had the second best. I had the third best.
How?
And-
After all those years?
Well, I've always been careful about my hearing.
This is one of the questions from one of the people who responded to a Facebook post I
Yeah.
put out there. They said, how do you
Well,
keep your hearing after all these years?
well, what you do is you never have an amp aimed right at you,
Do you have amps on stage now? So
No.
you still have them off stage?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Our whole, like, if you turned off the PA,
Yeah.
you'd hear some feet and drums.
Right, okay.
And people going,
But that's,
You
you
know.
do that intentionally for
Yeah.
hearing protection.
Well, I mean, that's why I started it. And you'd have a great night in one place, and then the next night you'd go play in an arena, and it would be a cement cube
Right.
or a rectangle,
Right.
and it'd sound like hell.
Yeah.
And, the sound was bad, in the 70s and 80s. It wasn't really like it is now. And we were trying to upgrade the PAs and upgrade the sound on the stage, so the hearing became really important. And one of the things that I discovered with Billy was the guy where I discovered
brother.
this. So we played that way for 10 years or
Yep.
something, and I started noticing that the timing in the band was odd.
Really?
And it was like, I'm talking like milliseconds, a few milliseconds
Yeah.
odd.
Okay.
Which was driving me nuts, right?
Okay.
It would drive you nuts.
Oh, yeah.
And, we'd want to slam something and kind of go slam.
Yeah.
And it was sort of soft. And I was going, what the hell's going on?
Right.
So one day we're doing a sound check, and I walked over to Billy and I said, Billy, let me just unplug your ears and let me just plug in and listen to what you're listening to.
Yeah? Oh.
And I plugged in.
What? Oh,
And
God.
the bass was this big around.
Sure.
The drums were this big, and I was this guy that was like that big, and I was over there. And then I went and listened to the next guys and the next guys
Sure.
and Kenny's, and everybody had been falling into that old trap like we used to when we first started working in the studio, and the engineers would go, "Don't touch any of that. I'll mix your sound." And
Right.
you're going, well, I need a little more. You'd try and talk somebody into what you needed in your headset mix. They all had terrible mixes, just absurd mixes, where all they were hearing was they'd just be listening to Gordy and themselves.
Sure. Right.
Two big giant things, and they all had really bad hearing. Everybody had this huge dip at 4,000.
Mine's at 3.
3 and 4. It's just like, though everything sort of sounds like that. And there's no
a de-esser is on everything.
There's no sibilance on anything. It's like, wow. And I started realizing, that I had really great ears compared to everybody else, which I didn't really.
Did you know that?
Never measured anybody's hearing.
Right.
Well, most people have really damaged hearing, and in this business, and I don't. So
you're
now,
lucky, man.
Well, I always tried to not do that, and that's one of the things about drinking and smoking pot and getting high and playing your show, is everything feels real good, and you turn it up real loud, and you don't really think about how loud it is, and you're not paying attention, and
so
in the long run, these are all really important things as a professional musician you really need to take care of. And the most important thing you have is your hearing,
Totally.
And, we all have friends who have had problems and, have had real serious hearing problems and stuff. And,
absolutely.
And I have, I come from a family that genetically has bad thyroids, and so I've had to take Synthroid for 40 years now or something. I mean, I've taken it for years. And before I knew this, and I didn't know this, nobody in my family said, your dad and your aunt and your brother, they all, take Synthroid. You should check it.
They didn't tell you this?
No, nobody said anything to me about it.
Nice.
And I went through this thing and this was during this period in the 90s, where I couldn't remember lyrics, and I had cue cards all over the place.
Right. Okay.
And I mean, it was crazy. I couldn't remember like the second verse to the Joker. That kind of. I'd go, well,
Steve's losing it, baby.
And then my hearing got really bad, and I got tinnitus, and my ears started ringing. And if you did that, I'd just go, oh man, stop. So I immediately went to the ear doctor, and their attitude was really bad. The trouble with those people was they all said, the trouble with you people is you've been playing rock and roll.
Sure.
What did you think was going to happen? And I said, no. I've always taken care of my hearing.
Right.
And they said, well, only like 1% of people with tinnitus ever recover from it. See, look, it's beginning to stick to things and melt.
The paper.
And
it's like silly putty.
It is.
Oh, that's funny.
And so I went to 2 or 3 different specialists, and they all were just treated me like, well, you got what you deserved, you play that rock and roll music, and
they were like, what do you expect?
So it was really bad. And then my brother said, well, I've been on Synthroid forever. And I said, you have? And he said, yeah. I got really sick. I had to, I didn't know. So I went to my doctor and I said, have you ever checked my thyroid level? And he said, no. And he checked it, and he came back and he said, you have no thyroid.
Oh, so that affected,
wow, man.
that affected
and that
everything.
gave me tinnitus, so I know what it was like. But so then I started taking thyroid, and I was having trouble remembering lyrics, and I was having trouble hearing. I mean, my hearing was killing me. I literally thought I was done. I just went, I can't stand this. I've got to, I can't stand any loud sounds.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd go to a baseball game and somebody clap, and I'd be like this, I mean, I couldn't take it. And so I'm taking this Synthroid, and about 3:30 in the afternoon in the recording studio in Sun Valley, one day I just sort of went, it was like this. It was like, shoo, and I went, oh, I don't need these cue cards. I got it. I got all the lyrics and everything, and hey, my hearing's cleared up.
Almost overnight then.
Took 3 months of taking Synthroid for my Synthroid to get everything dialed back in. So people who have tinnitus very rarely ever recover from it. Mine was caused by a lack of thyroid function. But so I was fortunate that way. But I know what it is and how painful it is and how crazy it can make you.
It's a terrible thing. I'll tell you that I've had it since I'm 10. Because I went out shooting with one of my sister's friends.
Yeah, dumbest thing in the world, yeah.
Well, they thought it was cute that a little kid was going to go out say put a Magnum bullet in a gun
Yeah, oh,
without
yeah.
hearing protection.
Yeah, I know.
They've been ringing off
This
the
is
charts for
This is
40
what's
years.
wrong with the gun culture. They think it's cute. It's
Phew.
like it ain't, and I've done lots of shooting, and I enjoy
Yeah, I know.
shooting, and I enjoy target shooting, and,
But
I've
you always wear-
and I mean, you're around that kind of noise, your hearing's just gone, and you never recover it. So take care of your hearing, kids.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's part of the deal. Work out.
Right.
It's a great blessing to play music. To be able to have an audience is a responsibility. You need
Right.
to, you always want to make sure that when people pay dough and drive an hour and a half to come see you play, that you're ready to go.
Yeah,
And
you don't want
this is
them
how
to-
you do
yeah.
it, And because it's fun and it's rock and roll, people don't think of that very much. But, if you go to classical musicians or, people like that, they're practicing, their chops
Totally.
are great, everything's up. And that's where all the great music is, and that's where all the great fun is.
Well, you have
so-
a connection to a lot of that now in your off time, aren't you? Dealing. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing when you're not on the road.
I'm working at Jazz at Lincoln Center.
Right.
I'm developing their blues pedagogy, which is their teaching
Right.
program that'll go hopefully into Juilliard. And
Fantastic.
Wynton Marsalis asked me if I would do it, and I thought, me?
You talking to me?
You talking to me? I said, well, how about Taj? He knows everything. He's the professor. And he said, no. So we tried that. He said, I'd really like you to do it. And so I said, okay, I'll take a shot.
Right.
So I do shows there every December. Janice and I curate great blues shows, and we had Jimmy Vaughn in and Charlie Musselwhite,
Right.
and we use the Jazz at Lincoln Center horn section. So we just have these phenomenal rhythm sections and players. And Shelley Berg, who's the dean,
I love
dean of
him.
music at
Yeah.
University of Miami. He does our charts, and he's the musical director. And every year we do these great shows that develop. Wynton, said to me, he said, we all know that all of this came from blues.
Yeah.
Everything comes from blues, and these kids don't know that anymore.
So what the purpose of this is to further educating?
Yeah, the
these
purpose
kids?
is to take a Howlin' Wolf chart and write it properly,
Wow.
and go, okay, you can play anything, you can sight read anything. These kids, their talent is unbelievable. They just don't know it. They don't know the music. They haven't listened to it.
So you're preserving that music and handing it
It's
off.
kind of like
to the next
what
generation.
Wynton has done with jazz. We're going to have to do with blues.
Right.
And Jazz at Lincoln Center is kind of like the new American classical music. This is all American music. It's jazz, it's blues, it's country music. Did a show with Marty on Appalachia.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
That's a hell of a responsibility, man, that you've got.
Oh, it's a lot of work,
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
One show takes months, to put
bet.
together, and then you got to rehearse 22 pieces of music, in 3 days, and then do a couple of nights. But it's really good. It's just exactly the kind of thing I like.
So you're always working. So if you're on the
Yeah.
road, you're doing this. If you're not on the road,
Yeah.
you're educating. Because I
on
know
the
you.
road. On the road's kind of a break.
Yeah, really.
It's physically it's not, but intellectually work, phone, busy, arranging, doing that kind of work.
Yeah.
Kind of go like, well, he's on the road. He's not responsible for anything. He can't
be
expect
trusted.
anything. Can't be trusted,
No.
and he's gone. No one knows how to get
What
hold of
happened
him. And it's like getting the hell out of town.
Sure.
When you hit the road, it always feels pretty good. Like,
Yeah, of course.
off we go.
Well, that's incredible. And I know that you just got your doctorate, too. Your honorary doctorate.
An honorary doctorate.
Well, I know, but that's still pretty cool
Well,
honor
that-
to have that. Because
yeah.
you were 6 credits shy, were you, when you went to Chicago?
Turns out it was a little more than 6. It was more like
Makes for
12.
a good story. But
Yeah, it's more like 12. They refused to give me credit for the work I'd done at the University of
No.
Copenhagen, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
It was an amazing thing, and I went back, and there's only been 2 other musicians at the University of Wisconsin. When it's a state university, it's
Yeah.
different than a private university. And
Mm-hmm.
I think 50 people had to sign off on it, and it went through a whole lot of stuff. And I found out that Duke Ellington, Clyde
Oh.
Stubblefield, and me are the three
Oh.
guys who've gotten this
How great is that?
honor, from the university. But the most amazing thing was I was sitting on the dais and with the chairman of the departments and the chancellor of the university and all these great people. And at my ceremony, they gave doctor's degrees to about 1,200 kids.
What?
They made doctors. The 1,200 kids, like they'd all spent 10 to 14 years studying
course.
and they had all gotten their degrees. And I was kind of like, yeah, I got one too. Hey,
Hey, Doc. How you doing,
Yeah,
Doc?
how you
Hey, Doc.
doing?
So now you
Hey.
act Doc as
Yeah.
to another persona of yours.
yeah.
So-
So it was a great honor to
God, I bet.
to have,
That's
and
so cool.
but like all that kind of stuff, like when you're young, you think, oh, it'd be so cool, and then when you get older, you just get, it's very nice, and
Yeah.
thank you very much. Gotta go to work.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, back to work, and so this is work, and that's what this is all about, is
Right.
trying to stay sharp.
Because I know we have a little time thing, there's two more questions I have for you. Number one is, this is about the leadership thing I was talking about. What do you think is a common thread with people like yourself, maybe a Steven Tyler, maybe these kind of folks that like yourself? What is it that makes you successful? Because I think it's really important for the next generation to know. Is it work ethic? Is it songs? What is it?
I think in the beginning it was like really wanting to do this and understanding what all is involved in it. I mean, wanting to make records, understanding what
Desire.
doing a concert is. I'd been working since I was 12. I started playing gigs. By the time I got to San Francisco, I'd already done 1,000 gigs, and I was 21, 22 years old.
So you were in training and you didn't even call it
Didn't
that.
even know it.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to do this. But then I went, wow, I could get a record. I could make records. I could, so I was always thinking about that. And I think the difference, the real thing, like what I tell kids who say, gee, Steve, how do you do this? I say, you got to write your way out of whatever music ghetto you're in. You have to write.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the writing, then you're just one of 1,800 really great guitar players.
Correct,
Or
yeah.
1,800 great tenor players, or 5,000 really good singers, or whatever it is. So writing really makes a difference, and when you write, you have a lot more at stake, I think, and you really want your records. I always wanted my records to sound great.
But you produced all those too, didn't you?
Yeah, and I was always in an argument with my early engineers,
Glenn?
too much echo, too much bullshit.
Really?
Can't you make? Yeah, I mean, I loved Otis Redding
So
records.
do you compromise or do you not compromise?
In the first, I didn't really get to really honestly just do exactly what I wanted to until The Joker, which of course went platinum.
See,
It was
I
the number
told
one
you,
single.
the trouble with you
The
people.
first record that I produced myself, where I didn't have somebody like Ben or
Yeah.
Glenn Johns or somebody
Yeah.
going, all right, boys, let's go back in. That was pretty good. Do it again with more
Feeling.
loft and frying suit.
Yes, would you please, yes.
Could you do it, nice, but not, and no, we don't want to do that, or don't want to do this, and I finally, it took me 6 or 7 records to
Dang.
just go, I'm on my own here, man. You guys are, I'm just going to go do this. And I went and brought the guys in the studio, cut the tracks in a couple of days, and spent 2 weeks at LA and sang all the parts and did the overdubs, and that was the Joker album.
Dang.
And the Joker was really the first time I ever wrote a song that kind of what today we'd call going viral. Wasn't the record company, because you're always, like when you're making records, the thing that people don't really understand in the beginning is that when you go to Capitol Records and they've signed you and they've given you all this stuff and a bunch of money and said you're the greatest band in the world, and then you go there to work, you're in competition with 200 bands for the same resources.
Of course.
And then it becomes politics and a whole different thing. And I wasn't really good at politics, I was like,
Wait a minute, hold on, let me imagine that.
Yeah,
I got it, okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the trouble with you people, and there was a lot of trouble. And when I did the Joker, that just was
Changed
released
everything?
and just went.
Were they
And
believers of the song, or not only until after it happened?
they don't believe anything until, they whatever the indicators are of the day. And at that time, it was radio stations all across the country wanted a copy of that song, The Joker, and they were playing it. And then pretty soon they were playing it. And this was back in the day when there were like 4 AM stations in your town. That was it. You know? And FM wasn't even, anything anybody listened to. And, they were playing it on all 4 stations twice an hour, 24 hours a day for a year and a half or something.
Ooh.
So that was a real hit. And that changed everything. And then I got the money from that. That gave me the resources to build a bigger, better stage, to get a tape recorder and start working on Fly Like an Eagle and Book of Dreams and all that stuff at my house instead of in a studio where it was.
So you had the luxury of not being on the clock then.
Right.
Okay.
Got off the clock, and that's when I really grew up. That's when I realized that, I had to deal with boredom. This wasn't a party.
Yeah.
I had to work on this, and I needed to write
Is that
a
when you
lot
quit?
of material.
Is that when you quit doing all
right
the
after
nonsense?
right
all that?
after the Joker.
You went,
and all
oh
that
shit,
stuff.
this is real.
Yeah. Then I went home and I spent like 18 months really by myself living in my house with a 8-track tape recorder, and I went and cut all the tracks at CBS in San Francisco in 11 days for both of those albums.
Both records?
Yeah, for Fly Like an Eagle and Book of Dreams. I had about 25 tracks.
Okay.
And I took Lonnie and Gary, drums and bass, and me.
What a great rhythm section.
Cut everything as a trio. And then I took them home, and I had my 8-track, a 3M 8-track at home.
Yeah.
And a little board that Dick Swetnam had made for me that was really special and very cool. And it was... I had a stereo mix, I had a sync tone, and I had 5 open tracks.
That was it.
And that was it. And so I did all the vocals and all the stuff on those 2 albums.
Did you keep flipping, flocking back and forth
No,
and
I
doing
wasn't.
mixes?
I wasn't ping ponging. I just needed to get the vocals and the guitar part right, and everything was there. And then we went back and dumped it all back on a 16-track, and I did a few overdubs more and a few other things. But so it was all done basically at home.
But that's what an incredible luxury. But you could have just kept the party going, and you could have just went woohoo and not settled down. But you decided to go.
I never
wait a
was.
minute, this is real.
I just never was that stupid. You have to be kind of stupid to think it's a party.
But there's so many people out there that do that.
There are people who are making millions of dollars who are stupid, who have people running their business and going, "Hey, stupid," but I'm making a fortune,
20%
so
or
let's
whatever
book more,
Right.
and that's a very normal situation. You see that a lot.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't like that dumb, I mean, you have to be.
You were your businessman then. Do you
Yeah,
think?
a little bit, I mean, my business was all just common sense, I didn't know all the ins and outs of everything and how big it could be or how much you should make if you played a football stadium or those kinds of things.
You had help. Did you have good help? Did you like your managers?
I didn't have managers. I stopped using managers and I managed myself, and I had a really great attorney who helped me with my publishing, who then helped me negotiate a lot of stuff. And I had at 2 different times in my life, I had friends who were really smart attorneys who really were unusually great.
You got your master's back, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I got my master's for the world, but not the United States, Japan, and Canada. But I got them everywhere else.
Okay.
And I got those early on before they woke up.
How smart were you to do that? Who does that when they're young like that? What an incredible negotiation.
I mean, I understood about publishing, and I understood enough about it to know that, like, why would I give you 50% or all of the publishing and I'll take just the songwriting share? What did you do?
That's desperation, though. Some people will do that.
I mean, I think it's ignorance. They just think that's the way. And when I go and teach or work with people who are teaching music business, everybody says, well, this is the standard contract.
Right.
So the last time I saw a standard contract, I was at Yale, I was teaching some law students at Yale who were like looking at the music business and and the standard contract was pulled out that this is what business was, and they were all looking at it, and everybody was being very serious. And then it came my turn to talk, and I did the Groucho Marx. I called it, and I read the first paragraph, and I said, "Well, that's no good. Take that out." And I just tore it up, and I said, "A contract is what you make it, and these contracts are like nonsense. A standard contract is so blatantly unfair,
Correct,
that
yeah.
no one should ever sign one." And for you guys to teach that this is a standard contract, I said, what you need to do is you need to have a class where you work with musicians and you learn to represent musicians instead of corporations.
It's funny. I remember when I was teaching over at Minneapolis Media Institute, you came on my board, which I was floored, but you have a passion for education, especially when it comes to these youngsters. Because
business.
You don't want
Paul, you know this. You've taught kids. How many great musicians have you taught who don't have a clue how to get a job?
Many.
Don't know anything about getting work.
Right.
And it's all about getting work.
It's the hustle.
So we need to go out now and hear Marty before he's done. He's getting.
Well, I think we can be.
What? Joan Jett's on? Marty started at 6:25. He's got 15 minutes.
Well, let's be done.
Let's
you want to
go.
be done?
Yeah, we're done. Thanks.
Well, that was kind of an abrupt ending to our podcast there, but Stevie and I went out and saw Marty Stewart on stage. Had a great time. Stevie Guitar Miller, thank you for being my first victim on Music on the Run. Sure appreciate it. Until next time, St. Paul Peterson, we will see you soon. Music on the Run was hosted by yours truly, St. Paul Peterson. Produced by my buddy Davide Raso. Edited and recorded by Ivan Silvastianov. Recorded on Stevie Guitar Miller's tour bus. And it's time for a fresh pot of coffee.